Hello, class. Mr. Stone here. What we have today is we have solving equations that involve fractions. So we're going to do that. I got a whole bunch of them here. I'll do quite a few of them just to show you. And I mean, that way you can do the rest yourself and say, hey, how did I do on this? Okay. So let's just rewrite this. Okay. I'm going to get a pen going here. Half the time it's not going. I wish I had two sides to these pens. And you can just flip it over and erase on one side and the pen on another. Okay, so let's do this first one. X. Whoop, that didn't go too bright. X over 7 equals 4. What you have to do here, you have to get, of course, we got to get the X by itself. We've been dealing with things like, I'll just write this one, 7x equals 4. We've been doing these ones, and the way we did these is we divided by, because it was a multiplication, so it's 7 times x. So we divided by 7. To get rid of that 7, we divided both sides by 7. And this is how we solved these, so this crossed out. And then our answer was x equals 4/7. Now, this is kind of like just the opposite. It's a division problem, so what we want to do, the opposite of division, is multiplication. So we multiply both sides by 7. So the 7's cross out. 4 times 7, 28. So x equals 28. And that's all there was to it. And that was the answer. It's just the reverse of what we were doing. Before we were multiplying times, now we're dividing. So this is really going to be kind of easy. After you do a few of these, you're going to say, oh yeah, there's nothing to this. It's just the opposite we have to do. Okay, let's do the next one. X over 5 equals 7. Now, the opposite of division, multiplication. So we multiply each side times 5. Cross these out. 7 times 5, x equals 35. And that's it. Let's do the next one, number 3. X over 4 equals 5. What we have to do here, just multiply both sides by 4. So we multiply this side by 4, multiply this side by 4. These two 4's cross out. We got x equals 20. And that was all there was to it. We just do the opposite, just like we were doing before. Now, what I'm going to do now, so I did these first 3, okay? I'll leave the rest and you can kind of do them yourself and say, hey, how'd this work? Okay, I'm going to go on to one that's maybe a little more complicated. Let's do on this side here. Let's start with this one, okay? We'll do the 2x over 2 equals 5, okay? So you rewrite this. 2x over 2 equals 5. Now, our object is to get the x by itself. That's always the object, okay? But we got to get rid of this fraction first. So let's just multiply both sides by 2 times 2. These two cancel out. So it is 2x equals 10. Now we're back to really what we were doing before. It's a multiplication. And the way we got rid of the 2 before, we divide, because we got 2 times x. So the opposite of that is division. So we got divide both sides by 2. So it equals x equals 10 divided by 2, 5. And that's all there was to it. See how that easy that worked? Pretty good, huh? What I did for you, right above, I put a couple examples that show how to do it, just in case you get lost a little bit along the way. But I left some problems here, and you can work on those, and I'm sure you can solve them and say, oh yeah, hey, this was easy, okay? And you just copy these few examples that are above and what I just did for you, and I'm sure you're going to say, oh yeah, I can do all these. I can do this, okay? Let's do, before I hang up on this one, let's do number 2 here, okay? I'll do one more of these, okay? So we got 4x divided by 5 equals 2. So I'm going to rewrite that. 4x divided by 2 equals 5. So now we got to get the x by itself. Let's multiply both sides by 2. Okay, times 2. These two cross out. We got 4x equals 10. 4x equals 10. Now we divide both sides by 4. These two cross out. We got x equals 10 over 4. And we can reduce to 10 over 4. If we divide, we look for what can go into both of them. And 2 can. Okay? 2. So these can cross out. If we divide by 2, we get 5 over 2. And that's our answer. X equals 5 over 2. And that's all there was to it. Okay? Below there, I put some more problems. Okay? Just so you can work on these different fractions. Okay? One involves a negative sign. Okay? So let's do that. Okay? Let's do this first one. Okay? We got negative 3 over 5 equals negative 2. Okay? 2x. Okay? What I'd do first, I'd multiply both sides by 5. Okay? So we get negative 3/5 times 5. Oop, I got to get the pen to write. It's not writing for me. Yep, there it is there. Negative 2x times 5. So we cross out these two 5s. We got negative 3 equals negative, because it's a negative times a positive, 10x. Now we divide both sides by 10. Negative 10, get rid of the negatives. Divide this side by a negative 10. These two cross out. The negative divided by another negative is going to be a positive. So your answer is going to be positive 3/10. Okay, so these two negatives cross each other, they'll be positive. So it's going to be a positive 3/10. Because remember, a negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive. Okay? And equal signs, if it's a positive divided by a positive, it's a positive. It's only when they were the opposite sides. When it's a negative divided by a positive or a positive divided by a negative, does the negative sign win out. Okay, so this will be a positive. 3/10 is x. And that's all there was to it. What I did for these ones, you can work on these. Okay, I'm going to just leave them up on the screen so you can screenshot these. Okay, let me get them all together. Okay, so you can screenshot this and work on this or write them down. And below there, I got the answer sheet. Okay, so I've solved each one of these, and that way you can say, oh yeah, hey, this was easy to do. Okay, let me pull up the answer sheet, and that way you can screenshot this, and you get all the answers for these problems. And that way you can work through it. And the way you get these good is just to practice. It's almost like anything else. It's almost like just like playing sports. If you're playing golf, hey, the more you practice, the better off you get. You're playing football, the more you practice, the better off you get. It's like everything else. You got to practice. Okay? And again, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to help my YouTube ratings. And remember what I always say is math can be fun. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.